Welcome to another episode of the Social Agents Podcast. Today, we're going to be having a special guest, Justin.
We do.
We got Greg Rodriguez. He's actually going to be my second broker when I first got in the industry. And now you're just like full-time CPA, right? I know you got a lot of businesses, a lot of investments. So welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Robert. Justin, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak on your podcast.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I know we're going to be talking about a lot of cool things, man. I know you specialize in helping people with their businesses and how to do, investments the right way. So just maybe quick minute, 60 seconds of who you are and what you do.
Well, listen, my name is Greg. I've been a CPA for over 20 years. We've had our firm also for 20 years. And what we do is, listen, we work with the small business community. Some people might say micro business community. In listening to their story, everybody launches out to be an entrepreneur. And we listen to that story of why they embarked on that journey. And we help them strategize with planning, strategic planning, to make sure that they, at some point, are able to live the life that they dreamt about, right? Not stuck in the routine of their, building their business, being broke every day, which is a big problem for the small business community. And we help them, get out of that, understand their numbers, and keep an eye on the prize, which is their life and the way they want to live it.
Yeah. And I know what a lot of our audience are going to actually be realtors, lenders, and I know you've worked with a lot of them, right?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I've been in real estate since 1989. That's when I'm dating myself, when I got my license, 1989. So I've been in the space for a long time. I love the space. It's a great space, a lot of opportunities, to make money, and the investment side, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. 1989, man. I wasn't even born yet.
Oh, man. Oh, man. You need to stop this.
It's all right. A few years later, 91, man.
There you go.
But kind of going into it, as far as the type of investments you do and how you help people, let's say, I'm a realtor right now. We're kind of talking about it earlier, but I need help. How can you help me directly?
Yeah, the first thing that we do with realtors is we want to understand their business, right? Why are they in real estate? We look at their business and we help them with a lot of structure, right? This industry, unfortunately, has played that it's so easy to get a real estate license. There's no training in how to be a business owner. And they're taking off. They're going to sales courses, which is all great. They're selling, but the money's coming and going just as fast, if not faster. So we sit them down and understand, what are you trying to accomplish here? Other than what a lot of people say, oh, I want to make $1 million. Well, $1 million actually is just a stack of green paper, right? What is it about that $1 million? So we sit with these realtors and try and identify, what is it that you want for your life? If you're single, if you're married, if you have kids, what didn't you have that you want your kids to have? And we really roll that out so we can build a great plan for them, right? So they can really embark on the right journey and not hit, 50 and figure out that, they were going the wrong way and have to start over. And sadly at zero.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we were talking before this started, one of the things that a lot of people in the industry have is they don't treat it like a business. They treat it just like a job, or they treat it, just commission checks. How do you educate and start to talk to either your clients or other realtors or other lenders or whatever, business really, about starting to treat what they're doing like a business and actually looking at the numbers in that way?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what we do is we create separation. We tell them, listen, you're a realtor, just like me. I'm a CPA. That's not the number one hat I wear. As a matter of fact, I don't even see myself as a CPA. I wear my CEO hat. And that's what I tell realtors. You've got to wear that realtor, right? You have to make the conversion, realtor to CEO. We talk a lot about numbers, right? They talk about, I just closed, a $20,000 deal. My 1099 was $500,000. That's all great, but what do those numbers mean? And we help them identify that. We created, a chart of account for them. We have them track their money. Where is their money going? Boy, when they sit down and do that, it is an eye-opener, because automatically, they don't have to make any more money. Automatically, they say, I'm making a ton of money. It's just gone.
Yeah.
And that's what we try and educate them to, slow down, go out there, hustle, crush it. But take some time, be the CEO, understand what your business is doing on the back end so you can scale it. And maybe in a year or 5 or 10, you're removing yourself and you are really the owner. You're in the owner's box. You're not out there anymore. You're helping people grow, help them, empower them to help grow your own business. That's what we really do.
What do you say to the people who are just by themselves? I'm a realtor by myself. I'm not a CEO. It's just me, or I don't have a team or anything like that. Why is it important for them to adopt that mindset, even if they're not, leading a team or leading an organization?
I think it's even just as important because if it's just them, they really need to capture all the resources that they can. And that number one resource is money, right? So if they're just running around and they have to wear the secretary hat, the treasurer hat, I got to clean my office hat, I got to do the social media thing. They really need to sit down, understand their numbers. What are they doing? What are their goals so that they can scale, right? Otherwise, I think the worst thing on planet Earth you can do is be your own employee. Right? At the beginning, we all did it. When I started my firm, 20 years ago, I did everything. I did collections. I did the CPA thing. I did the taxes, the accounting. I cleaned my own office. I did all of that. But I had to understand my numbers, right? I was a CPA. I had to understand my numbers to understand that I'm going to need help to match my goal, right? If I say, listen, I want to have a $250,000 business or $1 million business, I'm going to need some human capital, right? And in order to do that, I need to make sure the money I'm making stays in my pocket to be able to put it out there into my business.
Yeah, man. Kind of thinking about everything you just said right now. I'm sitting here and I'm like, we got to sit down and talk, man, because I've been running kind of like with the chicken with their head cut off, just kind of running around. It's like, yeah, we have this money coming in, and I'll just make decisions like this podcast studio that we just put together, right? And it's just like, yeah, we'll pay for it. Money's gonna come in, but we're not really looking at the numbers. Like, one thing I've had my coach doing my taxes for such a long time. This is my coach from high school, smart guy, CPA, and he helps. Like, he has these huge accounts.
Sure.
But I'm a little guy to him, so he's like, no, just do this. No, just do that. It's like, hey, should I open an S corp? No, you're not making enough money yet. It's like, you have to make this amount first, and I'm like, okay, but why? But he doesn't tell me. He's just like, don't do it. Just do this, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. So now I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life, and I don't have a P&L. I don't have an S corp. Like, I don't have all this stuff in place. So if something, God forbid something happens to me, like right now I just bought a house. I don't know what would happen, right? Like, the money, it can continue to flow for a little bit, but it just stops. So it's like somebody like me right now, right? I'm in that position. I come to you and I say, hey, Greg, I need help. Like, what's the very first step?
Yeah, I think the first step is really, if you came to me, I'd take a look at your tax return,
Okay.
take a look at, what is this thing that you're saying you're making a lot of money, right? It is scary to hear that you don't know why you're making certain decisions. You have to understand.
Yeah.
And that's becoming the CEO, right? It's easy for us to somebody say, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Like, we go to the gym, hey, pick up the dumbbells and give me 10 of these and 10 of that. Well, what's it doing to my body? I need to understand so I can visualize my muscle. You know what? It is working. It's growing. You need to understand, why is somebody, a professional, telling you what to do? You need to understand it so that you can measure it, right? Because you're going to be the best guy to measure it, because all the outside help that we're getting, well, they're too busy. It's kind of like you said, right? They have bigger accounts or they have too many accounts. So you need a P&L, Robert. You need a P&L, right? You need to see where your money's going. Why? Because we want to make good decisions. Because the thing is that when we make decisions of, I've got money in the bank, so therefore I can afford it.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when we get hit, back to what you were saying, by the bus? And all of a sudden we got mortgages, bills, the pipeline is over, and we didn't have a contingency plan for any of that, right? And we worry about it. A lot of people worry about it. It's kind of like a Tesla owner. The main concern of a Tesla owner is, am I going to make it to the next station? And it's the same thing for a small business owner. Am I going to run out of money? What if I don't get another deal? And how great would it be if we had the systems in place to look at your bank account, know that you got way more that you need to cover your business, your personal expenses. That gives you a lot of opportunity to plan, get the right, it just changes everything.
Yeah.
Get the right clients, work with the right people. It really changes the dynamics of your business. We have to slow down. We have to understand our numbers. It's December for you, right? If you don't have a P&L, listen, unless you're getting super aggressive, but your money's walking out the door.
Yeah.
Never, ever to come back.
Yeah.
Never, ever to come back. And it's the compound effect. If I can keep an extra dollar and invest that dollar gives me another dollar and another dollar over 10, 15 years. That's the difference between somebody being still their own, employee of their own company versus somebody that's worth millions.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. Everybody wants to hit the lotto and say, okay, this makes sense. Nobody's worried about the dollar that's going to grow and compound, that's going to make you that multi-millionaire quicker than we know it.
Yeah, no, I believe that, man. And a lot of us, we grew, like myself, we grew up poor, man. We're Section 8. We, food stamps, welfare. Like, I remember the bologna from those places, disgusting, but that's what we had to eat, right? And so you think about it, like now some of us that experienced that are now making money, and then we make excuses for purchases, right? Like we make excuses. I could do this because I didn't have anything, like before, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna buy this car because we grew up with nothing, and I feel like that's so sad, right? Like in a way, like we've conditioned ourselves to believe that that's okay. So somebody like that sees money like that, what's your advice for them? Because there's something that needs to switch in their head, right?
That's an awesome question, actually, and I actually get the chills when you ask it because I went through the same thing, Robert. I mean, you grew up in Baldwin Park, not a lot of money. My parents came from Cuba, 1967, factory workers, and I made a choice to just take it to the next level. However, right, no fault of my parents, they don't teach you these things, right? They say go get a job, make money,
Go to school.
and then you look at your upbringing. Yeah, right. Go to school, and you're going to be you're going to be safe, right? Well, today's world's not about being safe. It's being about exponentially great, but that mindset was instilled in me. Like it's okay. Tomorrow, money's going to come. You're making money. You're making money, and I was making a lot of money 20 plus years ago. But I was under that same rabbit hole of I'm going to make more money, and I became a big gambler. I was in Vegas every weekend, even as a CPA telling people, look at your numbers. I wasn't looking at my numbers. So when you say, what's that shift? For me, the shift was following that advice. And one day, I remember this, West Covina, in my home, and I get the chills. I woke up broke. I knew I was going to make more money, next week. And I got tired of it, and I said, you know what? I got to do what you don't have, which is a P&L. I got all my bank statements, right? Back then, it was all paper, no, not on the internet stuff. And I started making a spreadsheet for myself. And all of a sudden, I started seeing checks to, back then, the Tropicana Hotel was a big casino. And I kept seeing Tropicana, Monte Carlo, MGM. Those are all the markers I was paying.
Oh, man.
Because I had a marker at 3 or 4 casinos. And I was broke. And when I realized the money, visually, I had to see that.
Yeah.
Boom. Automatic shift. No more. And I said, I'm going to build. I'm building casinos for these guys. I'm going to build my own empire.
That's right.
So it is so important. And that's why I talk about it a lot. Structure, organization. We need those two pieces so that we can create a set of numbers that we can look at. Whether they're pretty numbers or ugly numbers, we need to get hit in the face with those numbers so we can make better decisions. Otherwise, we can waste a lifetime. I'm sure we all know people that whether they're 30, 40, 50, or 60, they're in bad shape only because of the philosophy that I'll get another dollar, from somebody else somewhere somehow. And at some point, that rope ends.
So what do you think? It's seeing it on paper is that made that shift for you. So if you're somebody like Robert, even if you're a solo agent or just sole proprietor, you get things on paper. How do you recommend people having accounts set up if they're just, hey, everything just comes into my personal, I don't even have anything? Like, what do you think is that next step for them?
Yeah, great question. I think it's super important, right? Once you've embarked on the journey of saying, I'm going to be a business owner, there has to be clear separation, right? At least for money, right? Maybe you're, for liability and things like that, that's a different conversation maybe for an attorney, but definitely separating, right? Personal versus business, because we have to know what's coming in to fulfill my needs as a business owner to keep my business going and growing. And then I need to see, hey, what's my lifestyle, right? Because when we commingle everything, then when we go to Mastro's and spend $2,000 on a dinner, pounding drinks and stuff like that, everything's in there, we don't see it. So we need to have realization of both sides. I've got this lifestyle. Is it crazy? And maybe it is because I'm not bringing it. So if anything, it's a motivator to say, I better get my stuff in second gear, sell more properties, do more of something because I enjoy this lifestyle that I want to keep going. But until it's able to get funded, right, we need to really pay attention to this. Separation of accounts is critical, and it's a nightmare. When we get, realtors that come to us and it's one account and everything's in there, it's a nightmare. It's impossible for them to make really good decisions to grow their business.
All right, Greg, were you ready for a nightmare then? Because well, hopefully you don't see my statement. Then. No, man, that's really good info there. I do want to shift gears a little bit because you know, we're talking to business owners, and a lot of people who watch this, like I said, are real estate agents, right? And we know something has come up recently, right? And it's kind of freaking people out, and they're like, oh my gosh, like there's, you know, something that happened in another state that might affect my commissions, right? I don't know enough about it because I'm kind of the person that's like, well, I'm gonna pivot, right? Like I'm gonna be okay. But some people, this is what they do. Like for me, if for whatever reason real estate doesn't work out, I'm gonna go into something else with social media because we were kind of building that brand. So what are your thoughts on all that going on, man?
Well, you know, it's interesting, and I think that it's been going on for a while. It's like a lot of people think, oh my God, somebody turned off the lights, you know, at 3 o'clock today. No, no, no. The light switch dimmer has been happening for years. It's today that we see that impact, that it's going to off. So these changes are real. They're going to happen. I think it's exciting. It's exciting for the real estate professional, Robert. This is right. That's a CEO of their business.
Yeah.
The ones that continue to run their business with, you know, my personal bank account and my business bank account are the same. I'm not looking at numbers. I'm not looking at a P&L every month. I'm not making strategic decisions. I'm not using the tax code to my benefit to minimize taxes. They're going to get squashed. They're out of the business already. They don't know it. It's the walking dead. They really don't know it. And they're hoping and praying that, well, this is just a bump. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So, but for those that understand that, hey, I'm a business owner. I'm running a business. Oh my God, just that change alone, they're going to go from here to like mountains of money because they're going to capture more business because we're going to lose 60+% of the real estate community. In the past, we always lose 60%, but it's economic cycles in terms of economy's good, everybody gets the license, reactivates it. Economy's bad, everybody goes back to a job, right?
Yeah.
This is like, I call it like a permanent cleansing. This is like
Really?
governmental, it's, you know, structure changing, how people are getting paid is going to change. So for people that are listening to it and saying, what does that mean to me? And how do I prepare? They're going to win. If we're just on a hope and a prayer that it's going to continue, it's not going to continue for those people.
Yeah, man. Because even listening to that, it is exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I don't understand why it's exciting just yet. Like, I'll be honest. But I do look at the people who are just playing real estate, right? They're just playing the realtor part. And it's like, no, I'm here to grow this business. So now I always talk about proximity, right? Like now I need to get around the right people like you that knows what doing. Hey, how do I do this, right? Now, you know, and it's going to cost me something, right? It is. But I want to pay it because I want to know. I want to prepare myself. So there's a lot of people out there right now that aren't prepared, right? So what's the first step of them getting prepared for whatever may be coming?
Listen, I think they just have to have their own realization that, you know, that they know I'm not doing things correctly, right? And they need to just sit back, talk to a professional and say, I've got a business here that's out of control. I'm running it like I'm running it like the person of what I do. I sell somebody else's real estate. And that's the thing, right? I say I'm a realtor because I've been a realtor forever, right? We're not selling our own inventory. It's not our business. We're selling other people's homes and investments. So we just need to stop and say, how do I get in a better position to win this game? Whether this thing in the future happens or not, I think it's going to happen. I'll make a bet, you know, talk about Vegas and gambling. I'm going to make a bet in Vegas. It's going to happen. That's where my money would be. We just have to stop and say, okay, how do I restructure this? And we just have to understand we're a business owner. I'm not here talking to you guys today as a CPA. Yes, the knowledge I'm sharing is accumulation of years, but I'm a business owner. It's the number one thing that I do. And we got to stop. We got to get it organized, structured, and we have to have the heart to say, I got to make the change. Because if we, you know, just put the blinkers on and I don't want to hear it, I don't want to see it, it's going to be a disaster. But it starts with realization that something catastrophic can happen. This is my livelihood. Right? I've got a family. I want to keep supporting them. I want to keep growing, right? I want to look at the next 100 years. It's not really about us anymore. The truth is, it's not really about us. If we're not looking 50, 100 years ahead, then we're missing the mark because it really is about our kids and our grandkids and what platform are we going to leave behind where maybe we're not here to see it, right? But maybe from upstairs into heaven, we will see it. And all of a sudden, your kid's part owner of Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Because we set out that legacy and that platform for them. It's not about, can I make $1 million and 10 million? That's great. It's fun. We're going to have a lot of great dinners, a lot of nice cars. But what is it about the 100 years after for the people that we're bringing on?
You said something earlier in the beginning of that. You said people know what they're doing or they know what they're not doing. Why do you think people, when it comes to that psychology of either money or of the way that they're running their business and the way that they're carrying themselves, why do you think they stay in that it's stuck, or they stay in that place of not doing whatever it's going to take? Why do you think that people just stay where they're at, even if they know that it's wrong or they shouldn't be doing it?
It's a great question, and it's really a simple answer. They're terrified. They know the answer. They know that things are not the way they should be done. They know they're running their business completely wrong, that it should be completely different, and their brain is going through it. But the visualization of sitting in front of them and somebody saying, hey, this is wrong. You're going to run out of gas. You're going to run out of time. You're going to run out of money. They don't want to get whacked with it. So I go back to when I was making money, gambling. It wasn't until I hit myself in the face with it, that's when I made the change. That's it. It's as simple as that. Everybody knows it already.
Yeah.
They already know that my business is screwed up, right? That's what they're saying. But they don't want to sit down and really see it, right? We got to look in the mirror. Nobody wants to look in the mirror, right?
Yeah, I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling that right now. So everything you're saying, I'm sure it's resonating with a ton of people right now, because they do have to sit down and, like, for me, I don't talk to my wife about finances, like about what we do in the business. It's like, hey, is your account good? That's all you need to know right now, right? And that's my thought around it, and maybe not the right thought, right? Because if it was a little bit more transparent, I'd probably be a little bit more careful on how I'm spending the money. And it's not like we're doing these crazy dinners. Like, it's mostly equipment that we're buying, but we do have to know. So, all right, Greg. So, talking about being a CEO and being in real estate, one thing that I have been seeing, right, we have this, it's like the generation of teams right now. Real estate teams is kind of the way to go right now. There's a solo agent. We run a team. I love the team dynamic, right? I'm able to buy back a lot of my time, right? The team wins. It's all good. Where do you think it's going to go? Because I feel like eventually, right, we have all this commission stuff going on, and a lot of these, real estate agents, they might go W-2, right? Mm-hmm. I think there'll be a time where that happens, but just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that, man.
Yeah, listen, that's something to really look at. I think that the team owners, the leader, right? So let's just say you as a leader, as the owner, it's going to be super important for you to really understand your numbers, Robert, because with the changes that are happening in the future, real estate offices are going to be very different. I mean, they're going to be, legal's going to be part of it, CPAs are going to be part of it, and then you have the broker structure. So I think teams will always be around, but it's only going to be the strong ones with good leadership, right? Because there's always going to be in any segment of any industry, there's always going to be somebody who loves what they do, whatever that is, but they're not an entrepreneur. They're an intrapreneur, right? So they want to be that team member under you, right? That you give them the guidance, the structure, right, and all the tools. So they're growing, they're helping you grow, you're helping them grow and get knowledge. So I think that's always going to be there. But I think that this popularity of, let me build a team, a lot of that's going to go away too, because only the strong will survive, right? Only the strong. So I think that in the future, like, brokerages are probably going to get the upper hand again.
Really?
Right? I think so, because right now, price splits are very high, 90-10, flat fee structures. So with everything that's happening, there's got to be much more advice to the consumer. So these brokerages that have the funding are going to be able to, partner up with attorneys, CPAs, and give the deal a lot of structure. Otherwise, if they're not doing that, then on the buyer end, right? Well, maybe I go to an attorney and pay 10 G's or 5 G's to consult me on a deal if I have to pay 3%, right? So I think that the brokerages are going to win, the ones that are structured well. Teams are going to win with the right leadership. And it's going to be the same thing, right? This 80-20 rule. The weak teams that are just like, I'm building a team and I got a team, it's going to fall apart if they don't have good structure. Yeah. Everything is about this structure and organization. And again, understanding money, reserving enough money to build the structures that you're going to need
Yeah.
to provide value to these agents so that they feel secure with all the changes that are coming.
Well, let's transition it a little bit, man. We did have some questions about what you do best. So, Justin, I know you had a couple, man.
So let's first talk. You know, you were talking structure. Let's talk about like business and tax structure. How should most people be set up? Because I'm sure most people are either just nothing, you know, sole proprietor, or you know they have some type of LLC. Maybe they're not doing it right. How do you think, just entity wise, that they should be set up?
Yeah, so as you know, probably the easiest and least expensive is the sole proprietor, right? You go to your local recorder's office and you set that up. And there's a time and a place for that, right? Somebody who's starting out, that's very logical, right? Because we don't know how much they're making. The pivot for somebody to go from a sole proprietor, let's say, to an S corp is if your profit is in the 50, 60,000, you got to jump, because if not, you're bleeding money, tax money that you shouldn't, right, be paying. So it's not a whole lot, right? Now, there's another conversation, right? If you were a client of mine, I would say, listen, let's do an LLC, right? Let's just say you're brand new, you're not hitting that $50,000, $60,000 threshold. I'd say, let's go LLC, taxed as a sole proprietor, right? So you still got that self-employment tax, but because you're an LLC, it gives you an option to elect out of it sometime during the year. So let's just say that it's January, LLC as a sole prop, but you just kicking butt. And now you're making 100 grand, 200 grand in profit. Because you selected the LLC box on your sole proprietor, you can say, hey guys, IRS, I changed my mind. I want to be an S corp for the entire year. So you can do a retroactive election, which puts you in the position of saving a boatload of money on the self-employment tax. So that's where I would start. Obviously, the transition is an S corp. Some people that have been in business already, right, making a certain amount of profit, I would bypass the LLC and just go straight S corp, you know, instead of having two layers. But that's how I would, you know, start a realtor in business.
Okay. Then let's talk about also like tax planning and planning for taxes and you know, now in December, that's I'm sure what a lot of you know, people are doing, or at least in business. How should you look at not just preparing taxes retroactively, but actually thinking about ahead of the next year? You know, this is what I'm expecting to make. How do I minimize my tax bill? Let's talk about some of that. So what are some of the advice or the advisements that you give some of your clients on how to just minimize that bill looking forward?
Right, listen, tax planning is like a buffet, right? You go, you look at the spread, and it's like, boom, everything is there. The problem is, Justin, is when people tax plan in December. The buffet, like there's only one tray left, right? Yeah. There's like 50 trays in January, February, right? But everybody waits till December. There's nothing left, right? Very little. So really tax planning, tax return, let me go back a little bit. The act of the tax return is useless. It's a software. You put in numbers and it just puts them in the right spot. A tax return really, it should be done monthly. And what I mean by that is because you're structured, you're organized, you have numbers. There's a P&L that's being generated every month, which means I have the opportunity to have a discussion with you every month and say, Justin, listen, we need to do this. I want you to pay yourself this. I want you to pay yourself some rent. I want you to pay your kid, or I want you to do all these strategies that are available. The tax code is actually written, believe it or not, for the benefit of the business owner. The problem we're like so, you know, offended by it or terrified by it is because we don't understand it and we don't use it. We do what? We tax plan in December, and then we do crazy things because we're working with maybe a professional that says, okay, well, maybe we'll put this or put that, and there's no substance behind it. But tax planning starts January 1st. It really, really does. And that's how you maximize not only tax profits, because a lot of people think, oh, I want to save money on taxes. I want to say, well, you got to make money to save money on taxes, number one. People miss number two, or maybe it's number one, is just profitability as a management tool. Looking at your numbers and saying, why am I spending $4,000 or $6,000 this month in office supplies and expense? Did I need it, right? And it's just an awareness. And then you go back to your office and you say, I didn't need it because I actually have two of them in a box still that haven't opened. We start becoming aware of our numbers, and that's how you tax plan, and that's how you increase profits.
Yeah, because looking at, I mean, just thinking about everything you just said right now, like, you know, when things come up, right? We want to have a Christmas party, a holiday party. And one of the guys on my team, he pushes for this. and he's like, hey, we need a new office. And he's our closer. So like, we're going to keep this guy happy. Right.
Sure.
But it's like, okay, well, let's just have one. Like tomorrow we're going to go to Top Golf because it's a sales challenge. We did a sales challenge. They won. But again, we don't know what these numbers look like, right? There's just numbers that are coming into the bank account and then leaving. So all that's really interesting, man. And it's got my mind spinning for sure.
Budgets, Robert, budgets, right? When we set budgets, then we're okay going to Top Golf or anywhere else because it's been budgeted. It's been accounted for, right? It's when we, just emotionally, right? We say, okay, we're going to go to Top Golf. We're going to drop $3-4 grand. And whether you have it or don't have it, it's irrelevant, right? Because you're spending something that wasn't planned. It's not accountable anymore.
Yeah.
But when we say, listen, 0.5% of our top line revenue is for marketing, and this percent is for, our annual, party for our agents to keep them happy and everybody mingle together. It is okay, and we feel good about the money that we're spending, right? It's when we just do it haphazardly and we're like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. I made one decision earlier about a month ago. And it was a scary one, right? It was a big purchase, and I just did it. And it's just like, all right, well, we're doing okay right now, so we're not gonna feel it. But yeah, man, I gotta stop doing that. We're getting aligned. There's a lot of you guys out there right now that are in the same boat. So you guys gotta get the right people. So let's say tomorrow, I'm like, Greg, all right, here we go. I know you're probably really busy right now, but here we go. How can we start with you?
Yeah, listen, the first thing that we do is we actually do kind of like an onboarding to see who. We're very selective, and it's good for you and it's good for us because we want to understand if we align with your mission, right? Yeah. Who are you? What are you about? What are you doing now in terms of, production, income, and what are your goals? We want to make sure that we can take that journey with you and partner with you for the long haul, right? So that's the first thing is we're having a really good conversation because you're going to know, Greg gets me. He understands what I'm trying to get at. And I'm going to say, I understand Robert and I like his ethics and where he's going and how he wants to do it. And he's on board with what needs to happen. Let's rock and roll. And then the rest is just the ugly work. We got to break through paperwork and things and put the puzzle together. And then we start building and strategizing, right? Plans for 2024 and every year.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I did go through another company. Didn't like it. Like I had an experience recently. I paid an X amount and they were going to help me out. And I feel like I've gotten zero value out of it. Right. And it's just like they did my taxes. I don't know. I paid like $35,000 in taxes, which is not something I want to do. And I'm probably, at this rate, we're probably expected to pay a lot more this year.
Sure.
So it's good to know that you guys actually have somebody there. It was just like I had a conversation with somebody on the phone and everything's been online, but you guys, they can actually go to you. You guys do like the whole Zoom call, everything. Like, I'm sure you help people all around the nation.